Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call tonight's meeting to order. Today is the 22nd of November, 2011. It looks like it's about 7:05 p.m. We have the Village Board meeting followed by the Committee of the Whole meeting. Our first item is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening there, Mrs. Booth. Would you please call the roll?
Mr. Matuso?
Present.
Mr. Novak? Mr. Terry?
Present.
Mr. Sloan?
Present.
Mr. Stecker?
Present.
Mr. Yurkovich?
Present.
Mr. Polyak?
Present. We do have a quorum. I did speak to Trustee Novak today. He's en route to Purdue to pick up his son from college. So he did extend his apologies for not being able to attend today. Okay, first item are some presentations for the Sheriff's Medal of Merit recipients. So I did invite a number of our teenage recipients this evening. I don't know if everybody is here today. So if we could, is Jose here? Jose Espin? No. I see Sean Lorenzen. Sean, why don't you come up front here? I know Faye is here as well. I saw Kyle here as well. And Jacqueline Nowicki. Is Miss Nowicki here? No? And I think Ava was out of town. Yes, okay. All right. I think you could figure out which one is Faye. Faye, Kyle, and Sean. Face the crowd. Okay. For the last couple of years, we've been involved with the Sheriff Youth Medal Program, where Sheriff Tom Darcy County has a program where if young adults, high school age, donate 100 hours of time in a nonprofit type cause with no payments involved, that he recognizes them at a banquet, so to speak, a celebration in October. So we attended an event with Sheriff Darthon at the UIC Pavilion about a month ago, and we had 6 recipients from the village of Westchester. The 3 that stand before you all worked under my chain gang over the summer, pulling weeds and picking up debris and cutting grass and sorting things and sweeping, and they did a heck of a job at the village for no cost. And the good part about it, I think, that it also helps them build a little bit of a character of themselves. That certainly they can they give of themselves without getting a monetary gain. I do want to thank each and every one of them because they did a wonderful job with us. Here's Faye, Sean, and Kyle. I'm very proud of all of the group that we've had. In actual, Faye is a very accomplished musician, and on our last day of the event, we kind of said, well, Faye, if you want to graduate this event, you have to play for us. So Mr. Feckerano, our superintendent of public works, was there, and we had a little concert where Faye played for us a number of tunes with her instrument, and it was very well done, and we're very proud of all of our accomplishments. So I do want to thank all of you guys. You have a nice medal, and also to make sure that you tell your schools that you were part of it, so you can have that listed on your, your permanent record. Because when you start applying for colleges, you do look at a whole bunch of things, not only grades and ACT scores, but they do look at we'll see if we can get these three maybe at one of our next meeting. Okay. Okay, the next presentation actually is a proclamation by me for National Impaired Driving Prevention Month. Oh, I'm sorry, did we miss? Oh, Miss Nowicki. Great. Well, last but not least, here we are. Here we go. Come on up, Jacqueline. Sorry we missed you. I'm sure your dad made you late. Okay. Face the crowd. Jacqueline was not part of our chain gang, but she did other events outside of working here on the chain gang for the village of Westchester and other concerns, and in her hours of service to the sheriff's medal as well. In fact, when I was sending our guys down there, their names, they said, oh, you have two more recipients, being Jacqueline and Ava as well. So I wanted to make sure that I did recognize her for the $100. If you could tell us what you were doing for the $100. We certainly appreciate all the work that you do, and certainly the value of doing something without any payment or whatever certainly should be self-satisfying. Looks good on the resume, and your parents are really proud of be awarded this as well. So here you go. These are the trustees who would love to meet you, and our fire chief as well. Shake hands with them and walk them out. Okay, on the National Impaired Driving Prevention Proclamation, I did receive a letter from the Illinois Department of Transportation asking each and every village to proclaim and recognize December 2011 as National Drunk and Drug Driving 3D Prevention Month. So, certainly as being a police officer and knowing what the carnage is on the roadways with intoxicated drivers, I said absolutely that we would participate in this program. I know our police department does arrest drunk drivers whenever practicable and whenever possible to get those menaces off the road before they can certainly kill anybody. So whereas motor vehicle crashes killed 927 people in Illinois during 2010, and whereas hundreds of those deaths involved a driver impaired by alcohol and or drugs, and whereas the December holiday season is traditionally one of the most deadly times of the year for impaired driving, and whereas for thousands of families across the state and the nation, holidays are a time to remember loved ones lost. And whereas organizations across the state and the nation are joined with the Drive Sober or Get Pulled Over and other campaigns that foster public awareness of the dangers of impaired driving and anti-impaired driving law enforcement efforts. And whereas the Village of Westchester is proud to partner with the Illinois Department of Transportation Division of Traffic Safety and other traffic safety groups in that effort to make our roads and streets safer. Whereas the village president of the Village of Westchester deems it appropriate to recognize the month of December as National Drunk and Drug Driving 3D Prevention Month in Westchester. Now therefore be it proclaimed by that the president of the Village of Westchester does hereby proclaim December 2011 as Drunk and Drug Driving 3D Prevention Month in Westchester, Illinois, and do hereby call upon all citizens, government agencies, business leaders, hospitals, healthcare providers, schools, and public and private institutions to promote awareness of the impaired driving problem and to support programs and policies to reduce their incidence of impaired driving
and to promote safer and healthier behaviors regarding the use of alcohol and other drugs this December holiday season and throughout the year. Proclaimed this day, the 22nd of November, 2011, signed by me, attested to by the village clerk, Kathy Booth, and certainly sanctioned by all the trustees and members of the village that are present here today. So I know the temptation is out there for holiday season to have alcoholic beverages and that, and I would just caution everybody to use common sense and to know if and when you've had enough, and to give up the keys to the designated driver out there so there's not a problem. So again, thank you. What I'd like to do, if the board would allow me to, I'd like to introduce our new library director for the Public Library of Westchester, Fidencio Marbella. He's sitting in the front row. Why don't you step up, Fidencio? If you can, why don't you turn and tell us about yourself and what are your plans for the library?
Well, just want to thank President Lugia for inviting me here today. We have a fantastic library here in Westchester, and with the help of a very knowledgeable and experienced staff, I'd like to make it an even better library. And I'm looking forward to helping this library serve this community.
Great, thank you. What do you think so far?
It's a challenge, but it's one that I think I'm up to, and we'll make it work.
Well, on behalf of the citizens of Westchester and certainly this board, we want to welcome you with open arms to the Westchester Public Library. Nick was a former library board member, and Frankie too. I think they both learned how to read there, so they got their start at the library. So I'd like to introduce you to Deputy Mayor Paul Gattuso, former mayor of the Village of Westchester, Trustee Brian Sloan, Trustee Tom Yurkovich, our attorney Mike Durkin, and I know we've met, Janet Mattheis, our interim village manager, Nick Stecker, and Frank Perry. And our clerk does a great job for us, Miss Kathy Booth, as well. Anything that you need from us as far as the library is concerned, I want you to know that our policy is open door. Any conversation you need with Janet, our village manager to manager, make sure you avail yourself. I know you were at the Chamber of Commerce meeting the other day, which is a good start to get to know the people and the dynamics of the Village of Westchester, and we wish you nothing but luck. You've got a great board. They're all focused on doing great things for the library and the children, and certainly the adults of Westchester. So,
Thank you very much.
again, thank you again.
Thank you.
Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting.
Okay, item number 5, public comments and questions. Please step up, identify yourself for Mrs. Booth. If anyone has a question or comment?
Hi, Helen Waters. I have just 2 questions. When are you going to go out for a new village manager?
We're going to be discussing that item in executive session this evening.
Aren't you usually trying to get one as soon as possible?
Yes, we have the interim manager who's doing a wonderful job at this point in time, but we'll be discussing the plan of attack this evening.
Well, I'm well aware she's doing a good job, but I'd still like to see a village manager. And I also have, what are the benefits to keep waiving bids, waiving the bid process? What's the advantage of doing that?
Was there a specific topic that you're talking about?
Today we have one that's for installation of the overhead lights. I don't understand, if we have a bidding process in place, why would you keep waiting?
Well, this, yeah, this is the vendor for the, yeah. Yeah, we did get a grant from the DCEO that was brought to us by a specific vendor. So we didn't expend any monies in regards to this. This was a grant that we received from the state, and they brought vendors in, and this is the correct process to do. So this wasn't that we're trying to change all our lights and we're looking for a vendor to do this. This was in conjunction with a grant that cost us nothing.
But there's been other times that I've seen on other board agendas that you've chosen to waive the bidding process, and I don't understand what benefits you would get out of it.
Well, at times, it's beneficial for us to waive a bid if there's a specific vendor that can either provide a purchase or a service that we know will be best suited for the village. Sometimes there's a sole source provider, so we would waive a bid process even though the purchase might be over the $10,000 limit.
Right, but wouldn't it make more sense to put up a bid anyway? So that when the residents are reading this, they're seeing that you're going through the motions anyway of doing it the way all our ordinances read.
Well, if we know it is a sole source provider, then we would just be expending money really to no avail if we place the ads to publish bids for something that we know is a sole source provider. And we do have exclusions in our purchasing policy when we know that there is a sole source provider in those instances that we do not have to go out for bid. So it is part of our approved policy.
It just
I think the last couple of these had to do with the light process, which I know we waived it because we had a provider that obviously brought the program to our attention. We filed for the grant. I mean, there was no expenditure of money, but we had to go through a process.
The state of Illinois tells you that this is the only provider that you're going to get the money?
No, the state gave us X amount of money
Right.
to do the program.
Right.
So,
But why would just that vendor have access to that?
well, there were probably other vendors as well.
So,
But I mean, it didn't cost us anything, and the grant covered the expenditure. So.
Hi, good evening. I'd also like to say thank you to those young people that contributed 100 hours of service to the village. That's a great, great program. And I'd also like to welcome our Westchester Public Library Director. And I had a hand in getting him here, and I'm proud of it. He's a great man. But to introduce myself again, I'm Timothy Hinsdale, a local resident speaking as a private citizen. And my first question is, why isn't the record of bills included in the online packet? One of the things I'm very curious about when I come to a village meeting is to see how my money has been spent.
I don't know.
Okay.
Hiccup?
Let's see if we could do that in the future, if we could include that.
Sure.
That would be a welcome thing. Save me a trip to the office. I really, really want to congratulate you again on having that packet online. I think it's one of the most positive things that's happened in the last 2 years. And then I'd like to make a comment. In the packet, I'm going to comment on the Committee of the Whole because I have another appointment tonight, and you don't take comments at the beginning of your Committee of the Whole meeting. So I'd like to address them now. On page 71 of that document is a kind of a chart that actually lists my business, the Village Handyman, with a discussion of the structure for the advertising rates for the village newsletter. And I'm heartened that you're not going to raise the rates. I think that in this time, you need to hold the line on those advertising rates. That'll keep people. But to that chart that I referred to on 71, it seems to highlight the fact that there was a co-op that was created that gave a discount to a group of businesses that formed this little co-op and together purchased a full-page advertisement, and with a discount because they paid for it 6 months in advance. And I understand that you're going to discontinue that, the ability to do that, And I want to say that that's short-sighted. Having that co-op allowed businesses that might not have otherwise advertised in your paper to advertise. And you got the revenue for a full-page ad that if you had sold it to one single entity. So why is there sour grapes about having a bunch of smart people divvy it up and get it for themselves? I would just like that when you have that discussion that you be, large-minded rather than small-minded. Take the fact that you got a one full page of revenue and don't have sour grapes over the fact that somebody got a discount. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Item number 6, public hearings. I don't believe we have any. Item number 7 is the consent agenda, A through G, record of bills. Minute approval under B, ordinance authorizing referendum for non-home rule sales tax. Under D, ordinance authorizing referendum for municipal aggregation. Number E, ordinance amending parking restrictions in the 12 and 1300 block of Hydorn. F, an ordinance amending parking restrictions on Westminster. And G, ordinance to waive bids for the installation of the overhead lights. Does anyone need anything pulled? Ryan?
I'd ask item A be pulled.
Item A. Are there any other items that need to be pulled? Discussed? Nothing? Okay. All right, so items B, the minutes, and C, D, E, F, and G. Is there a motion and a second for their approval?
So moved.
Second.
Ryan and Tom? Any additional discussion? If not, Kathy, roll call, please.
Mr. Gattuso?
Aye.
Mr. Novak? Mr. Perry?
Aye.
Mr. Sloan?
Aye.
Mr. Stecker?
Aye.
Mr. Yurkovich?
Aye.
Mr. Julian?
Aye. Under item A, is there a motion and a second to approve the record of bills? Motion by
So moved.
Paul, second by Nick. Discussion, Brian?
As you know, this record of bills includes a payment to the former village manager, and as you're aware, I oppose the separation agreement that the board approved, and therefore I do not intend to vote in favor of this. I'd ask the board to vote on that item separately. I have no issue with any other item on the record of bills.
Okay, well, what we'll do is we'll break that out in a separate motion. So, there's a motion and a second on the floor for the approval of the record of bills with the exception of the item that trustee Sloan has pulled, which we'll do a separate motion for that. Kathy, please call the roll for the bills.
Mr. Perry?
Nay.
Mr. Sloan?
I'm sorry, what are we voting on?
No, we're voting on to approve the record of bills without the one that Brian pulled.
Oh,
That's gonna be a separate motion.
Sure.
So it's everyone else but that.
Okay,
Are we
gotcha.
clear? I'm
Yes,
sorry if I
absolutely.
wasn't clear.
Mr. Perry?
Aye.
Mr. Sloan?
Aye.
Mr. Stecker?
Aye.
Mr. Yurkovich?
Aye.
Mr. Gattuso?
Aye.
Mr. Julian?
Aye. So those bills are approved. Is there a motion and a second to approve the item regarding the payment of to the village manager? Is there a motion for that approval? Motion by
So moved.
Paul, second by
Second.
Nick. Okay, so this motion is to approve that payment.
On the question, if I may, just a reminder, you have a contractual obligation
To pay it.
approved by this board. It wasn't unanimous, but you have an obligation to make the payments called for under that agreement. So a failure to make those payments would be a breach of that. So keep that in mind, please.
Okay, so the motion on the floor is for the approval of that payment. Kathy, please call the roll.
Mr. Sloan?
No.
Mr. Stecker?
Aye.
Mr. Yurkovich?
Aye.
Mr. Gattuso?
Aye.
Mr. Perry?
Aye.
Mr. Julian?
Aye, that motion carries as well. Item number 8, active agenda, Westchester Resource Center lease. Janet, some information on that?
Yes. On September 7th, the village passed ordinance 11/1924 authorizing the lease of space 22 located in the Westbrook Common Shopping Center for use as the Westchester Resource Center. The lease was executed on September 21st, 2011. The property has been leased at no cost to the village. However, the lease did contain a provision that the landlord may terminate the agreement within 30 days written notice. We received such notice on November 8th, 2011. The Regency Center, the landlord, has offered us an alternate space identified as space 13A in the Westbrook Commons Shopping Center. So it is necessary to execute a new lease for space 13A. There's no fiscal impact to this. It's going to be the same terms. We're paying the utilities, NICOR and ComEd, and we have no lease payments on that. And the space will be continued to be available to residents as the Westchester Resource Center. So staff does recommend that the board approve the lease agreement between the Village of Westchester and Regency Centers for the property identified as space 13A, which is next to the Charter Fitness, located in the Westbrook Commons Shopping Center.
Okay. Is there a motion and a second for that approval? Motion by
Motion.
Tommy, second by
Second.
Frankie.
This wasn't on a cow meeting.
Okay, I'm sorry. All right.
Need a motion to
Motion to waive.
the presentation of this matter at a prior COW meeting.
I'll move that we suspend the rules requiring the appearance before cow.
Thank you.
Okay, motion by Brian, second by Paul. All those in favor? Say
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition, say no. Okay, with the approval of the lease, there's a motion, a second by Tom and Frank for that approval. Kathy, please call the roll on that.
Mr. Stecker?
Aye.
Mr. Yurkovich?
Aye.
Mr. Gattuso?
Aye.
Mr. Perry?
Aye.
Mr. Sloan?
Aye.
Mr. Folia?
Aye, motion carries as well. Thank you. Item number 9, the interim manager's report. If you want to give us a blow-by-blow of the last 2 weeks in 30 seconds.
Well, most of the items that we've been working on will be reflected in the cow agenda items. So I would just like to take a moment to wish everybody a happy, safe, and healthy Thanksgiving holiday weekend. And there's only 33 days left till Christmas. Fair warning.
I think
Thank
you have
you.
5 seconds left if you want to use up the time.
Mr. Durkin, anything from the realm of the attorney?
No, I understand we're going to have an executive session this evening, so I can fill the board in on the matters that I would report on there. Thank you.
Great, thank you, sir.
I would also join in the wish to the residents of the Village of Westchester to have a happy and healthy Thanksgiving holiday.
Thank you, sir. Board members, reports, and anything we need to report? I know what I've asked some of the board members to do is reflect on the National League of Cities Conference that we attended. And I know Nick and everybody had some pieces that they wanted to bring forward to share of what we were doing and what we were learning and the good things that were on the horizon or potentially that we can avail ourselves with. So, Nick, would you like to start us off?
Yeah, there was I don't know what everybody's going to be touching on, but we sat through a number of the classes and talked to a number of the vendors. The one class that we sat through, me and Frankie sat through this one, it was private activity bonds. It was actually kind of interesting. It touched on the city would be issuing bonds on behalf of certain businesses. Let's see, it says 501c3 charitable organizations, affordable multifamily, and they used as example schools. This may be something that we might want to fill St. Joe's in, but basically you would go out to bond on their behalf. It would be a tax-free bond, and it comes in, let's see, 15 and 30-year financing, variable and fixed interest rates. They could use it to purchase a tax-exempt equipment, sale of property, leaseback. Let's see. Public and private education would be eligible for it. And there are these referred to as the Midwestern Disaster Area Bonds from the flood of 2008. And they expire at the end of 2012, and they say it's basically an underutilized way of funding. And they give a number of examples of projects that they did. and the before and after they went out and got these bonds and was able to fund some of these corporations or some of these schools. So that was pretty interesting. The place, the name of the company that put on the thing was called Public Finance Authority. So we got all their information, took a number of notes. So we could possibly be passing along some of that information to our Economic Development Committee, and as well as some of the other parties in town that would be applicable for such funding.
When you had conversation with these individuals, I know most of them were, the ones that I spoke to, were receptive of possibly making a presentation before this board and following up with that as well. So my suggestion would be that you touch base with Janet. She certainly has an expertise in the financial realm, that we could obviously get the information and then potentially at a future meeting go forward and have one of the that vendor or one of the representatives come and have a conversation with our village manager and see where we're going, and then potentially make a presentation before EDC or in this body to make sure that we're going in the right direction.
And it wouldn't, it doesn't count against the village as far as any debt goes. It doesn't affect your bond rating or anything like that, but essentially you'd just be going out to bond for them. But it doesn't affect us. There's no negative impact on the city.
Okay, great, thank you, Nick. Tom, anything you'd like to share, sir?
I was intrigued about I know we've been talking about the electronic water meters and the radio reads, and there was a company that could retrofit to use the meters that we already have in place at the households and the businesses, so it would be a cost savings to the village on that. So that was, and I know she emailed, the lady from Itron Incorporated emailed you looking for to set up a time and date to meet and sit down and discuss this a little further.
Yeah, we did. I think we all were standing around. We had conversation with her, and they had some pole-mounted appliances that could actually
be
read
sent straight to the village.
Yeah, to
repeaters.
read the meters and stuff, and even there was an appliance that could be placed on the water line to detect leaks. It was graphing and
I like that.
spiking and things of that nature.
That was the best one.
And I know we've talked about this as a board to try to get off the dime from a quarterly bill to a more
Monthly
timely,
bill.
whether it be monthly or bi-monthly, where we could actually see if somebody had a problem and rectify it before that bill got out of hand and they come in with a 20 or 30,000 gallon loss factor, which is quite costly now, especially what we're going through with the city right now. Great. Frankie.
Also in the vendor area, we were talking with a company that offers a service that would let us take advantage of our cellular tower contracts. They spoke of amortizing the contracts to give us one lump sum of money. We're currently searching, we being the Economic Development Committee, I'm liaison for the Economic Development Committee, we're currently searching for funding for economic development. And after we do further research, this may be a viable option for funds. And one of the nice things about this is that if T-Mobile were to buy out, let's say, Sprint, we would still receive the money off the contract even though the Sprint Corporation would no longer exist. So we would be getting paid out for that contract even if the contract no longer existed. They bought that contract out for us. So that sounds like they assume all the risk. Yeah, it takes the risk out of it for us.
And if I'm not mistaken, you've had some contact with Greg Riebel
I have.
regarding this matter, and he's already made some inroads and had some conversations with that company to see some of the positives of that as well.
Right.
Thank you. Paulie.
As you know, Sammy, we both sat through an economic development one that was very interesting. The interesting thing that came out of this one that the speaker spoke to was the way the village handles how everything is being permitted and the process and everything to get the permits done through your residents and the amount of help that is needed. The biggest thing that came out of that is that most people that come and open a business in town and everything else really do not know what they need or how they need it. And basically asking the villages or telling the villages that you should take them and get them through this process and walk them through it step by step by step and get them to understand that, so it's quickly get it done the right way. Also, it's friendly enough where they will be happy to tell other people that they're very good here, and they'll try to get you through from the minute you apply to the minute you open the door. And we sat through that when Sam, and afterwards, we even sat with all of us, with the people who represent this company, and they gave us some other ideas about, you know, where do we start, how do we do tipping, and how do we do different areas to decide if we want to make it downtown and what we want to do. And it was very interesting, and I've made another contact with the lady and asked her a couple more questions, so she's going to send me some via email, so we'll be talking more about that.
Yes, I think the conference focused on economic development and infrastructure repair. As you also can recall, when we first got there at the first opening session, we went to the National League of Cities. In fact, I was going to talk about this as well, that they do have a new National League of service line warranty program. Well, they'll actually warranty the sanitary pipe from the people's homes up to obviously our main, and if there was a problem, that they would replace that. There was X amount of dollars per month that the people would pay that would actually warranty that. So if you had a plumber come in or had a problem and they identified it as either broken pipe or whatever it needed, that if it had to be replaced, that there would be some warranty provisions on that. I know they're going to send us some more information as well. We already belong to the National League of Service prescription plan, where at a number of the venues around town, there used to be a Dominic's and Walgreens and Jewel as well, where people that do not have any insurance can use this to get some prescriptions at a little lower cost, and we do have.
I got those numbers.
And
We had 467 prescriptions filled by 54 of our residents for a total cost savings of $5,500 that they had the numbers and we were there.
Good. And we've been part of that for probably a little bit over a year, I think maybe a year and a half. So it's another good program, and I know we're going to get some more information on this warranty.
I know with that warranty information, or the sanitary warranty, they use local plumbers too.
Right.
They don't use anybody from out of state. They'll use your local plumbers that you use on a daily basis for any of your problems.
Plumbers of our choice.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, they work directly with us in the village and go out from there, so which was good.
Good. Well, I do want to thank my colleagues. I think it was an interesting go-around, certainly talking to the number of the vendors and attending the classes that we did. I think we represented certainly the village of Westchester very well in gathering the data that we're bringing back, and hopefully we can implement some of these things to help our residents, because at the end of the day, that's what we're here for. Any other board person have anything they'd like to comment on? B, anything?
Well, Saturday I spent the day with the Cub Scouts. You were there, Sam and Tom, doing the food drive, which was a good success. And with regard to the sanitary line, I've got the information on that. I'll share it with you. It's something that Trustee Novak and I have been working with trustees from the other surrounding towns, starting the process, because one of the things that's interesting about it is the larger number of people that you get involved, the lower the rate. So if we can get not just the residents of Westchester involved, but get the surrounding communities involved as well, and there's really no downside to it. It's just a question of how many people can you get involved. That cost per unit on all the houses actually decreases. And so we've been in talks with several of the trustees in the surrounding areas, so I'll get that information for you.
Great. And I know Ms. Jaycox, the trustee from the village of Maywood, who
Right.
I think maybe attended some of your meetings as well, is a director in the NLC. She had a bunch
Right.
of...
Yeah. Audrey wasn't at that last meeting. We got it from another municipality, but she has been involved with us.
Great. Sounds like a wonderful program. I think we'll get some people in here and avail ourselves of that, because I would imagine that those laterals from the houses to our mains are probably need a little help in a lot of cases. And it's a costly expense to dig that up and replace that as well. Okay. President report. Just want to make mention of a few things that are available to us. Received a informational brochure from the Proviso West Music Department for choral music, 37th Annual Madrigal Dinner at Proviso West High School. It is going to be held Saturday, December 10th and Sunday, December 11th at 6 p.m. Doors open at 5 p.m. in the Queen's Banquet Hall at Proviso West in Hillside. There's a cost. Adult tickets are $25 a piece. If anyone is interested in hearing the madrigals here, I know we're trying to get them for our tree lighting. I'm not sure that Molly was able to do that, but we're working with that as well. Also, I received a letter from the Des Plaines Valley Council of the Boy Scouts. They have a Holiday Radiance Ball. It's going to be held Saturday, December 3rd, 2011 at the LaGrange Country Club, $75 a person. And this is they have an auction there as well that benefits the Boy Scouts of America. All of you are certainly aware of the untimely death of a Miss Kelly O'Laughlin from the village of Indian Head Park. A very, very sad tale where a 14-year-old young lady came home from school after school and apparently surprised an intruder who cowardly took her life. There is a benefit for her, Black Wednesday at Matone's. It's tomorrow, November 23rd, 2011, from 9 p.m. to 12 a.m. There's going to be some live music there as well, and there will be a $5 cover charge to be collected and donated to her memorial fund. A very sad situation that I'm sorry that anybody has to deal with. So if anyone's available to attend that, I'm certainly the family of Miss O'Laughlin would be particularly happy to do that. I did receive a letter, and I know Trustee Novak is spearheading this charge. I would let him read this to you, but this is from FEMA, probably the four-letter word that we never want to hear again. It's regarding the National Flood Insurance Program Community Rating System. I know Trustee Novak has been working on this since he became a member of this board and is trying to get a rating system for us, basically that houses that are in the floodplain, it's quite possible that we can be the recipient of some type of discount on that insurance. People who live in the floodplain have to pay flood insurance. It's a federal mandated program in addition to any private insurance they would have through their company of whatever. So as we go through this, our records indicate that that we're eligible to be part of this. All of the issues that may have been in the past have been taken care of by, I think, Dennis and Wally. And I'm very pleased to announce that this hopefully will be coming and there will be a discount. So I don't know if Wally shared anything with you, Brian, as well. But we did receive this letter, and I know he's been working on it very diligently.
Yeah, we've been working on it with Paul Osmond from the IDNR, and I know Dennis has been a huge help for him. And just having that letter now, there's at a minimum, we're going to be, the residents will be receiving a discount. And as we continue the process and improve the mitigation plan, that discount continues to increase. So.
Well, that's a very positive. I wish nobody was in the floodplain, but apparently there is an area that is. Okay. I don't know if Mr. Feccarata knows this. We kind of talked about it today, but tomorrow, Wednesday, November 23rd, Franklin Park is for asphalt. Please be advised that the following closing dates for Allied asphalt plants. So if you need anything tomorrow, I would hustle it up because they're closing down. The 4 other plants in Huntley, West Chicago, and Bartlett have already closed. So this is the last one in Franklin Park. You got that. Tomorrow I will be meeting with officials in LaGrange Park to meet Congressman Luis Gutierrez at 10 o'clock tomorrow at the LaGrange Park Village Hall. Mr. Gutierrez does represent a small portion of Westchester down Cermak, and I believe he cuts across and grabs the Concord, Camelot, and areas around there, a little piece of Mayfair, as he traverses northbound through Hillside and parts up there. He's a very odd-shaped piece of a district in Westchester that he represents, but he is our congressman, and I'm looking forward to speaking with him as well. One of the biggest things that I have to report is I attended in Melrose Park last Friday a task force that was put together by the West Central Municipal Conference, which we belong to. The Delgado Law Group was assisting with that as well. Also, Rich Pellegrino, our Executive Director of West Central Municipal Conference, and Neil James, a resident of Westchester and an assistant in that regard, talking about the water rate increases that are being imposed by us, by the City of Chicago, of 25% beginning January, and 3 years of 15% subsequent to that. The task force meeting talked about potential steps that we may be able to take. I'm trying to head this off at some point in time. There was a reflection back to a 1977 case by the city of Niles and other municipalities on a similar rate increase that took a number of years to litigate through the appellate court level. And they have a Niles 1 decision and a Niles 2 decision. The Niles 1 decision talked about the reasonableness of the costs, of which the City of Chicago prevailed on that case. On the Niles 2 case, in addition to the water rate increase, the City of Chicago had also put in there some sanitary and sewer replacements in the city, and the judge pulled that out of that case, rebating $8.8 million back to the city in the participants in the forms of a credit. The negative piece of that is that was over a 20-year stretch of time that the credits took to get, so to speak. So there was no firm decision on whether the group intended to file any kind of class action lawsuit against the city. There are some municipalities that I've been told, the DuPage County Water Agency at this time wasn't prepared to go forward with any litigation toward the city. In fact, what they did is they took the 25% rate and added 5% to it, and the towns in DuPage County that get water from the DuPage Water Agency, which is a number of DuPage County towns, are basically going to have to suck that up, so to speak. We did have Mayor Landeck, who was also the state senator from the down south area there, at the meeting, and there was a suggestion made by him that quite possibly this may take legislative action to try to get the state legislature to pass some type of law that would basically make this water a commodity similar to electricity or utility, where the rate increases would have to go through a review process via the state and couldn't be unilaterally imposed by the city without that. These are all concepts at this point in time. Mayor Serpico and Mayor Calderon are chairing this committee for the WCMC, and as information comes forward, I'll bring it forward. But at the end of the day, the 25% is going to be imposed January 1 by the City of Chicago. I'm on the Broadview Westchester Water Agency, which I sit on that board as well. We had a meeting on the 17th, which was prior to this Melrose Park meeting, and we didn't make any decisions one way or the other because we wanted to see what was coming out of this. So both Mayor Jones and I attended this meeting, and we did gather the information, and we will be discussing it at our water agency meeting in the future. Shifting gears a little bit for the water agency. In 1927, the village of Broadview and the village of Westchester entered into an agreement to form a water commission. During that time, certain properties were owned by the village of Westchester, certain properties were owned by the village of Broadview, certain lines as well. As of recent, we've changed to an agency form of government with Mayor Gattuso at the helm at that point in time. And we are in the process of replacing the water agency at 10th Avenue. I know Paul worked very diligently to try to put this thing in the game. We were able to file for an IEPA loan for just under $5 million, which the building will cost. We scaled it down a little bit, and that is going to start in March. The other two pieces of it, we also have two IEPA loans for a generator for our Kyler pump station in Oak Park, which we maintain and manage as well. That pumping station had no generator, so that it's about $150,000 or so loan there as well. And also there has to be some reservoir improvements made at 10th Avenue. So we have all three of these low-interest IEPA loans on the docket that we've signed off on and got approval for, which have taken probably at least the last 12 to 16 months to accommodate under Mayor Jones and my tenure, with certainly a lot of the legwork done by Paul and Mr. Vicenek, or Mayor Vicenek, prior to us. So this is a project that is sorely needed. We do service Loyola, Hines, and Madden Mental Health Center as well with water, and it is getting to be a very, very precious commodity. And I know that the millions of gallons that we use every year, and the billions and billions that we've used since we started pumping from the city of Chicago, are certainly needs to continue in the future. And I think with these three improvements that we've been working on for a number of years, although I guess they come at a bad time when the rate increase is going to hit us, but these are things that are definitely necessary for the continuing operation of having safe drinking water provided to the city of Broadview and of the village of Westchester. So those are going forward. Paul, you look like you want to
No,
have a
Sam,
comment
I'm
as
just,
well.
you made me happy. We'll operate more efficiently. We'll be able to serve our residents better all the way around. We'll store a lot more water, so in case there's any emergencies, we'll always be able to store plenty of water to keep us running. It's a great thing, Sam. You're making me happy. I'm glad to hear all that. Then the other part of that puzzle was the new line coming in from the city back to us. If that was another thing that was a major undertaking that we were looking at too, and maybe that's in the horizon. But I'm glad to hear that we're at where we're at right now.
Yeah,
Thank you.
The agency is, I'm going to say, flush with money, but we have been collecting money as we thought we were possibly going to get the IEPA loan. You never know when you're going to get it. So there is some monies in there that will be starting off in a positive realm. Both Baxter Woodman and Hancock, the engineers that are involved in that program, have been told in no uncertain terms by Mr. Jones and I that we're not looking at cost overruns, and we're going to build it for what we said we were going to build it. It's as simple as that. So I can't wait to put the shovel in the ground. It's something that we need. Again, 1927, there was an upgrade back in the 80s some point in time that replaced Broadview's tower and that. But
Plus the building, the old building that's there, it's been there from 1927. It was built there, and it's
so something that needs to be done. One other positive things before we move on. I don't know if everybody knows this, but yesterday was an important day for one of our employees. Birthday of Mr. John Feccarata. And he saw his name in lights, and again, we wish you many more, John. You know, the other day, we were out at Downing and Carlisle, and if you remember, we did have some people from that street asking us for assistance in some of the flooding issues they've had, whether it be dry or stormy weather. It seems to gather in front of a resident's house as well. You know, we did climb through the pipes, and we were able to see a little bit of a section that we could see that there was some collapsing there, but not to the point that it was shut. And I went out on scene yesterday with Mr. Feccarata, and we replaced about a 22-foot section of 18-inch pipe. That the pipe was in bad shape further down the line that we could not see. And the guys did a great job putting it together. Now, hopefully, it'll be some alleviation. I told John that I'm going to say I wish it was further down the line in front of that residence home, because then we knew what may have been actually preventing the water to drain. I'm sure when all that water collides into that system at Carlisle, that there will be a better flow contact because of the replacement of that pipe, and they've done a great job getting that done in a day and very quickly. Well, we hope. I think they were laying concrete today. I don't know if we did that. We filled it with stone. I mean, it was a trench. It was 20-some feet long. I mean, it was fairly big. So I'm glad we were able to identify that. Okay, that's pretty much all I have. Executive session. We're going to
Use the one from the
do it after the cow. If there's not anything else, is there a motion and a second to adjourn the board meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Nick and Tommy, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Say no. Oh,
Put him on.
okay. Our attorney is springing our youth in the back to go do homework, so you have a choice. You could stay and listen to our committee of the whole, or you could go home and do homework.
Leave now.
Run while you
Or if you're off school,
Run while you can.
Dennis says he has homework too.
well, you know what? I'll tell you, though, there's probably some weeds out there that with the wet ground will be easy pulling. Very easy pulling. Again, guys, you know, you're welcome to stay for our meeting. But again, I want to thank you all for what you did for the village of Westchester, and certainly the other groups that you've touched, especially with the school operation at Nazareth High School. It's all laudable. So next year, Faye, we're expecting a concert. So since you did a great job with that as well.
About Christmas.
Just saying. Christmas, yeah. Yes, this December 2nd at the tree lighting. You're certainly welcome to attend that as well. And I think Molly, you have a little choral group coming as well, and you could chime right in. So, okay.
John will be singing, right, John?
Okay, okay, the motion's on the floor. Any opposition to adjourning our meeting?
We already did that.
Okay, all right.